The story opens inside a modest home where a married couple named Grace and Edward live together. Grace is the kind of woman who never stops talking. When she speaks, she wants full attention and complete clarity, making sure everyone listens. This is the exact opposite of her husband, who prefers silence and avoids confrontation whenever possible. In their marriage, Grace has always believed that Edward loves her deeply and will submit to whatever treatment she gives him. Edward works as a high school history teacher, known as a kind and patient educator who can easily keep his students focused in class. Throughout their marriage, Grace constantly demands to be served and listened to whenever she speaks. She often forces her opinions and ideas onto her husband, expecting him to follow them without question. Instead of arguing back, Edward usually opens his laptop and lets her talk on her own. Grace's need to dominate is also felt by their son, Jamie. Every time he's about to enter the house, he mentally prepares himself for his mother. Jamie works for a company in another city and has come home to visit his parents, even though it often feels heavy for him because of the constant pressure from his mother. The next day marks Grace and Edward's 29th wedding anniversary, and they are discussing how to celebrate it. What should have been a relaxed family dinner quickly turns tense, as Grace once again dominates the conversation without pause. She pushes her opinions onto everyone, leaving Edward and Jamie sitting in silence.
Next week we'll have been married 29 years.
All right, then we won't go out.
Oh, for God's sake, Edward.
Did I?
So do you want to do it?
Yes. Mom.
Well, I say, will we go out for dinner on our anniversary? And you say that's what you want, and I say it isn't.
Edward and his son share similar personalities. Neither of them wants to get involved in pointless conflict. Eventually, Jamie decides to retreat to his room and continue his work. Edward is also the one who handles all the household chores. Meanwhile, his wife does nothing but demand to be heard whenever she talks. This pattern repeats every day, where casual conversations slowly turn into pressure and emotional violence. Whenever Grace pushes harder, Edward withdraws further. To Grace, his silence feels like indifference, and that only fuels her anger. This is the quiet space where love slowly breaks apart. This is Hope Gap. That night, another argument breaks out. This time, Edward finally asks why Grace cannot try to understand and listen. Feeling challenged, Grace does not hesitate to slap him. She repeatedly demands that Edward talk to her, but he chooses to rest instead. Enraged, Grace flips the dining table, sending all the food crashing to the floor.
You say you don't tell love, you feel love, but how...
I can't now. It wouldn't mean anything.
I don't mind.
This is childish, Grace.
Say it!
Why are you doing this?
Don't ever say that to me again.
The noise alerts Jamie, who comes downstairs to see what is happening. His mother complains, saying she wants Edward to be firmer, braver, and more assertive as a husband. But Edward has never been that kind of man. Jamie tries to tell his mother that she should stop pressuring and demanding so much. Instead of reflecting, she launches into another rant about how everything she says is right. She does not stop there. She even attacks Jamie for still being single. Her words leave him completely silent. For a brief moment, Grace realizes that the way she has treated her husband and son all these years has been wrong. But even with that awareness, she still cannot stop herself from speaking and pushing her words onto others. The next morning, Grace leaves the house to attend church. While she is away, a shocking conversation takes place between Edward and Jamie. Edward tells his son that he has decided to leave Jamie's mother. He admits that he has fallen in love with another woman named Angela, who happens to be a parent of one of his students at school. Jamie is stunned by his father's confession and the sudden decision to separate. Edward explains that he has given up, feeling incapable of making Grace happy because he is always made to feel wrong. He says he plans to say goodbye once Grace returns from church. Edward also admits that life feels easier with Angela, while life with Grace has always felt heavy and exhausting, since everything he does is seen as a mistake in her eyes. Inside Jamie, a deep emotional struggle begins. He loves his parents deeply, yet part of him understands how things could end this way. He has witnessed his mother's constant pressure and his father's emotional exhaustion after years of holding everything in. All he can do now is walk alone, remembering the happier moments from his childhood with both of them. When Grace returns from church, she greets Edward warmly, as if nothing had happened the night before. She acts affectionate and familiar, treating her past behavior as nothing more than habit. It is then that Edward finally reveals his intention to end their marriage. Grace is completely shocked by Edward's decision to leave. Her anger grows even stronger when she realizes he has chosen another woman. At first, she believes this is just a threat meant to scare her. She apologizes for her behavior, and promises she will never repeat it. Unfortunately, Edward's decision cannot be changed, no matter how hard Grace tries to convince him.
I should have told you before.
This woman may have lost her husband, but that doesn't give us a right to take mine.
Shoo.
I'm sorry.
Not long after, Jamie appears and tries to calm his mother. Grace still believes that Edward would never truly dare to leave her. But Edward has already made up his mind. He grabs his suitcase and contacts Angela. Within minutes, she arrives to pick him up. Even then, Grace remains in denial, insisting to Jamie that Edward would never really leave. Meanwhile, Edward finishes packing and steps into the car waiting for him, driving away without looking back. Several weeks pass. Only after Edward is gone does Grace truly realize how deeply she loved him. The house and its belongings fall into neglect as Edward was always the one who took care of everything. Day after day, Grace sits in silence, trying to accept the reality that she has been abandoned by someone who meant everything to her. At times, she even sees his presence as if Edward were still there. Desperate, Grace asks Jamie to help persuade his father to return. Jamie refuses, believing that his father's decision may be the right one. He even says that his father should have left the house much earlier because of his mother's behavior. Grace never imagined that her own son would take his father's side and begin keeping his distance from her. That realization forces her to finally look inward and question herself, wondering if she truly has been the problem all along. Even though he is reluctant at first, Jamie eventually agrees to meet his father. He tries to convince him to reconsider his decision and give the marriage another chance. However, Edward remains firm. Jamie can sense that his father has already made peace with his choice. Edward even admits that he regrets the marriage, realizing too late that he had misunderstood what love between him and Grace really was. Before they part, Edward makes one final decision. In the divorce, all the property and the house will be left to Grace. Jamie delivers this news to his mother, but her reaction is unexpected. Instead of relief, Grace turns her anger toward her son. She blames him for not trying hard enough to reunite the family and goes as far as calling him useless. Jamie finally snaps and says something that leaves her speechless. He explains that his father has found love, and Jamie chooses to see his father happy, even if it is with another woman.
He asked me not to give it to you.
But I ask you to give it to me.
I think you better go. Go on, leave. It's what you want.
I can't bring him back.
You don't know that. Have you tried?
Mum, he's in love.
As days pass, Jamie grows increasingly worried about his mother, who seems to sink deeper into sadness. One day, he finds her standing alone at the edge of a hill. Afraid she might do something dangerous, Jamie begs her to pull herself out of that darkness. He holds her tightly and reassures her that she does not have to face everything alone, and that she can get through this. A few weeks go by. Jamie feels relieved to see his mother showing more energy and engagement with life after that moment. Grace fills her days with social activities and even adopts a dog, naming it Edward, the same name as Jamie's father. Still, beneath the surface, her old habits return whenever the conversation turns to her ex-husband. Jamie reminds his mother to stay calm and accept the separation with an open heart, especially since today they are scheduled to meet at the lawyer's office to finalize the divorce. Grace and Edward meet again for the first time since the separation. At the office, the lawyer hands over documents for Grace to sign, confirming that she will receive all their assets and the house they once shared. Yet Grace remains the same controlling presence she has always been. She frames herself as the victim of Edward's betrayal, accusing him of giving up on the marriage and insisting that she has been the only one fighting all along. Edward stays silent and tries to walk away. Irritated, he prepares to leave, but Grace forces him to sit back down. Once again, she asserts her dominance, urging him to reconsider the separation. She is convinced that he still loves her deeply, but none of her persuasion works. Edward finally leaves the lawyer's office and Grace is left in tears, unable to change his resolve. Despite everything, Grace is still Jamie's mother. Jamie continues to visit her and offer comfort. Yet behind his back, he discovers that she still clings to hope, secretly watching Edward from outside his home, unable to fully let go of the man she once believed would never leave her. Jamie encourages his mother to keep moving forward and step out of her father's shadow. One way he does this is by urging her to rejoin the poetry club she once loved. Jamie even offers to help organize all the poems she has written over the years. On the surface, Grace appears more energetic and alive. Still, deep inside, she remains curious about Edward's life now. Eventually, Grace gathers the courage to visit the house where Edward is living. For a long time, she has questioned whether Angela even truly existed, believing she might have been nothing more than a story Edward created to justify leaving. Instead of backing away, her curiosity grows stronger as she insists on seeing Angela for herself. Angela soon appears, proving that she is real and directly challenging Grace's assumptions. She makes Grace realize that there were once 3 unhappy people, and now only one remains. Those words hit Grace deeply, forcing her to face the truth. She finally understands that Edward will never come back to her. Edward follows Grace outside and suggests staying on good terms, but Grace refuses. In the end, Grace chooses to stand on her own, holding on to the belief that she only wanted to be loved, even if the way she sought it caused pain. Meanwhile, Edward continues his life with Angela, finding the peace and calm he had been searching for all along. So the moral of the story is, if you talk nonstop, dominate everyone, and think silence means love, don't be shocked when your husband quietly packs a suitcase and upgrades his peace.